We're going to talk a little bit about composition today. Composition is that first element in a photograph that invites the viewer in to see your subject. And whether or not that element is comfortable for the viewer makes a big difference in how they perceive your photograph. Imagine, if you will, being at a track meet and you're watching someone getting ready to run a 200-meter relay. And the runners are all staged, and when they take off, they're running the wrong direction from what you were expecting them to. And our eye does the same thing when we look at a photo. We want those elements to align with what we are expecting and what's comfortable for us. Comfort is a very big part of a photograph that is successful and one that draws the viewer in. But composition isn't always that easy. Thank goodness we have a way of doing that that is a guideline for us. It's called the rule of thirds, but I'd rather have you think of it as a guideline of thirds. Many cameras already have the thirds built into a screen so that you can turn them on or off and actually place the elements of your photograph along these lines. What you want to do is to try and place the key elements along the rules of thirds, whether vertically or horizontally. Putting these items along these thirds will oftentimes give you the best composition for your photograph. Let's take a look at some of these examples. Which ones are you feeling comfortable with? Does it look like your subject is kind of stranded out in the middle of nowhere? Does it appear that perhaps your subject is right up against the boundary of the photo and not able to get out? That leaves us with an uncomfortable feeling as well. We need room for that object or subject to move in the photograph. So now take a look at this one. Here it is placed on a third boundary. There is room in front of it for the subject to move around, and you have a feeling of freeness in the picture that you really don't have in the other two. It brings your subject into focus, and it allows you to convey what you have in your mind when you're taking this photo. It's not always easy to remember the rule of thirds because we become so actively engaged in watching the subject that we oftentimes forget about it. So if you have software to do cropping in, there is a second chance for you to align your photograph to a more pleasing composition. This has just been a very quick review, and there are so many more elements that you can do with composition using this rule of thirds, but we'll touch on that later.